Good morning, and thanks everyone for joining on this Saturday morning. This already proves that how curious you are to know about reInvent announcements. My name is Dipali Kulshrestha, and I'm community leader for AWS User Group Delhi NCR, and also the community hero. With me, I have Mahima Sharan. She is a senior technical account manager at Amazon Web Services and brings over a decade of experience on cloud computing technologies and application modernization. Today, we will specifically talk about reInvent 2022 announcements. Those who don't know reInvent, it is the largest technical conference by Amazon Web Services. In 2022, it was the 11th reInvent conference which Amazon has organized in Vegas. It was the largest event attended by partners and customers, and more than 50,000 participants joined this conference this year. It was full of learning sessions about new services and features by AWS, along with several hands on workshops on key topics, for example, networking, security, storage, big data analytics, and many more. AWS has launched numerous features and services in reInvent 2022 to help our customers and builders to develop innovative solutions. Today, we are going to cover some of those latest announcements and encourage all of you to try these out in your solution. This is going to be around 2 hour session where we have two quizzes lined up for you. So try to be active listener throughout the session to increase your chances to win AWS credits. And needless to say, you can keep asking questions in the comment box and we will try to address them all. To participate in the quiz, please register at this link quiz.confirm.com. But before we dive into the services, I would like to draw your attention around increasing footprints of AWS infrastructure in India. In 2016, Mumbai region was launched in India, which led to tremendous growth in Indian market. Not only the startups, but also mid-sized companies and enterprise leveraging AWS in their digital transformation journey and to create innovative solutions and products. It was launched with two availability zones initially, but now AWS has recently launched the third availability zone in Mumbai region, which gives customers flexibility to deploy their applications in multi-AZs to achieve high availability. And we all understand the concerns and regulations around moving your data out of country. Since there was only one region in India, in Mumbai, in order to set up DR in India itself, AWS has now announced a second region in Hyderabad to enable customers comply with regulations without compromising the user experience. Hyderabad is the 30th region, and so far Amazon is having 31 regions and 99 AZs across the globe, which gives customers opportunity to deploy their applications worldwide. The most recent region is launched in Melbourne in 2023 itself. And AWS has also launched a local zone in Calcutta to help builders building their applications with low latency. So lots of things are happening in AWS and the pace of innovation is unimaginable as they deploy around 23,000 changes per day. So let's keep the curious buzz going and get more insights from who is equally excited to share these with us on behalf of AWS. So Mahima, over to you please.
Thank you so much, Dipali, for covering the initials of region. And these are very, very important announcements and the latest things that has been announced by AWS. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to user group NCR, and I'm so happy to be part of this, group and presenting for the very first time. So hope to connect with you all in person sometime as well. A quick introduction about myself. So, my name is Mahima Saran, and I'm a senior technical account manager at AWS. I've been with AWS for almost 3 years now, with a total experience of approximately 18 plus now. So gives me a lot of experience in various industries, various technologies, and various domains. And bringing all this expertise, I have a good understanding of containers, DevOps. And so I thought that as part of this session today, we will not be covering everything that has been announced as part of the recap, because it will not be very difficult to cover everything within a time span of 2 to 3 hours. So what we thought is we'll cover some of the very important announcements that has been made, and Dipali and me, we would be co-presenting it. So let's get started. We have also added certain fun quizzes at the end of each session, and hope these quizzes will really help you in winning some prizes as well, and it will be fun for you. So let's get started. Give me just one moment till I start presenting my screen. So give me a minute. Sorry guys for the delay of a second. Give me a minute. I'm still trying to share my screen. I think there's an issue. Um, mm, Give
Where
me
are
a
you
minute,
struggling,
guys.
Mahima? Just
I think it's not allowing me to share my screen. So give me a minute. I think I might need.
okay. Sorry, guys. Meanwhile, please keep on asking your question in the chat box, and maybe you can also share that from where you are attending this conference. Because we are deliberately conducting it virtual because no lots of in-person recaps are happening. But yes, there are people who want to attend one of these, but for some reasons they could not be part of the in-person sessions.
Yeah, is my screen visible now? Hopefully, it is
Yes, Mahima.
visible now. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah,
so
all
much, guys. I'm really sorry, and thank you for your patience for being with me for the minute delay that has happened. So the very first section that I would be covering is for DevOps, which is my favorite, one of my favorite topics. So in DevOps, there are multiple announcements that has been made. So let's go through them one by one. The very first one, which you can see on screen, is a ECA service connector. So, what is ECS service connector? So, I think all of you knows about ECS, which is Elastic Container Service, as one of the primary, native services of AWS for deploying all your container workloads. So now, if the biggest problem whenever you break a monolithic application into multiple microservices, and the API calls which you expose via endpoints to different microservices, is that breaking the monolith is easy, and developing your microservices in fact is also easy, because in a way you are developing a new application which is a micro version of your application. But the communication between these n number of microservices plus the third party services that you are creating, and then the integration testing, so there's a lot of challenges which we have seen that most of the customers faces between the networking of these services. It becomes really challenging for developers to learn the networking between these different endpoints and microservices, and how the API call should be going, how the communication should be happening. And that is where most of the customers struggle. So this is a solution which we have bring forth, which is called as Amazon ECS Service Connect. Now, the purpose of Amazon ECS Service Connect is that earlier, when this particular service feature was not available, customers had 3 to 4 different options, right? So, one of the options was using elastic load balancers, where they had to, now, although ALBs are easy to distribute your traffic, to check the health of your various microservices, whether they are up or not, but again, the problem with ALBs was that you would have to continuously understand that what is the current requirement. I mean, you will have to set up um different load balancers for different levels of services and clusters, and then you have to do the coordination between them. Now, at the same time, there were other services like App Mesh was also there for managing all your networking networking between, or the communication between your services. Again, it was an additional layer which was added on top of your ECS. So it was not actually an inherent part of the ECS service altogether. Now, in order to, so because we have so much to cover and we are not going to go and delve into one particular topic in a very detailed format. So overall, all the challenges that we have faced so far with various services is that there are various modes of communication which are already there, which people have been using for communication between these microservices. But it was a challenging task where they need to have a prior understanding and expertise of the networking capabilities in order to implement them. Now, in order to ease all of those difficulties that they were facing earlier, we have come up with this particular feature called Amazon ECS Service Connect. Now, the role of this service is that ECS Service Connect provides you with an easy, network setup and seamless service communications deployed across multiple ECS clusters and VPS. So it is not limited to one cluster only. You can have these communications set up across your multiple ECS clusters that you have. But at the same time, what happens is this service actually provides you or enables you to create very friendly names for your service communication. So, for example, you have endpoints of your microservices. Earlier, remembering what was a friendly name for your microservice. So, for example, if you have account service, if you have various other services, it is difficult to remember the entire URL or the endpoints of your services that you are creating. So this allows you to firstly give various friendly names to your services, and at the same time use these very friendly names for communication across various clusters and across VPCs as well. You can also set some defaults for your traffic resilience. So for example, you can have your health checks, you can have automatic retries for your 503 errors, and even for your connection draining processes, so you can have ECS for that. Additionally, the Amazon ECS console provides you with easy to use dashboards, with real time network metrics. So this will allow you for a lot of operational convenience and simplified debugging in the event of any issues that you are facing. So very good feature and a must try for whoever, for you if you are actually using ECS, and if you have implemented some kind of networking. So try this out as a new feature and do let us know. So the other feature that we have launched as part of the DevOps is the Amazon RDS Blue Green deployments. So just a quick understanding for people, they might not know that what is blue green deployment, right? Blue green deployment is one of the deployment strategies where what happens is you create a replica of your production environment in a staging environment. Then once the replica is ready and it is in sync with your production environment, it allows the developers and testers to test the functionality. So let's say there is a new enhancement that you have done or a new feature launch that you want to do. So instead of directly testing your features in your production environment, you create a replica of your production environment, which will be complete replica and in sync with your production environment. You do your testing on it. If the testing is successful and you feel that this is working as per the expectation with your initial testing, you can switch. So you can switch your staging environment to a production environment, and your production environment to a staging environment. And then the new feature is now live and available for the customers to test it in their production environment. So this is how you do the blue green deployment. Now the best part of this blue green deployment is at any given point of time it also gives you the opportunity to switch back. Let's say you switched your new blue green deployment, so you created a new environment which was your staging, and now you have made staging as your production environment. And let's say if there are any issues, fe- there is a bug or there is an issue with your new enhancement that you have launched, so you have the opportunity to again switch back to your older version, right? So you don't have to invest too much time in doing the again switch back. So you can anytime switch between the blue and the green environments, which gives you a lot of flexibility to do a testing of your new features in the production environment itself without the fear of losing the connectivity or the downtime of your applications. So similar feature has been launched for now Amazon Aurora with MySQL compatibility, Amazon RDS for MySQL and MariaDB. So this enables you that you can make databases updates, safer, simpler, and faster. Now, just one thing how it will work with RDS is, so for example, with just a few steps, you can use blue green deployments within your RDS itself. So what it will do is it will create a separate, synchronized, and fully managed staging environment, which will be a mirror of your production environment. Now, the staging environment, which is a replica of your production environment, it will be cloning your primary database within the same region and also your read replicas. So now what has happened is you have a new version of your entire replica of your production environment ready in your staging environment. Now you can do certain changes. So for example, you want to do certain upgrades to your OS, or there are certain changes that you want to do, like a small upgrade of or a major version upgrade, or there are other OS version upgrades. So whatever changes you want to do on top of your OS, now you can perform those changes in this replica, which is residing in your staging environment. You test it out, and once you think this is ready, you can do the switch. You can switch the staging environment to a production environment and make your production environment to a staging environment, right? So now what has happened is, even for your databases, you don't need any downtime. The two databases would be completely in sync. There would be no data loss in terms of your business, and at the same time you have also made changes to your database and gone live with your new changes without impacting any of your customers. The best part about this is that it do it so simply and smoothly that you will not even realize that there was any downtime for your application, because the reads are managed, the writes are managed in a way that when you are doing the switch over, let's say from staging to production and production to staging, all the writes are blocked. So in a way what will happen is, for that specific period of time, so that the two databases are absolutely in sync, so write would be blocked for your blue and green, and as soon as the switch is again up, the write would be enabled for your application. So any kind of major or minor version upgrades or schema modifications, any kind of maintenance activities that you want to do in all of these databases, it will make your life very, very easy. The next feature that has been launched is the Elastic Disaster Recovery Automated Failback. So if you know about this service, I'll give you a little bit glimpse about what is Elastic Disaster Recovery Service. So it's a service that enables customers to use AWS as an elastic recovery site for their on-premise applications. So for example, applications in an on-premises environment, in order to just create a disaster recovery, they would purchase or provision another disaster recovery on-premises systems, which would be sitting most of the time idle, right? And they would be paying for that amount of provisioning that they have done, plus the maintenance of that DR site. In order to make their life easy and not to have an on-premises DR system, we offer this one of the services, which is called as AWS Disaster Recovery Service. This enables users to create a disaster recovery within AWS for their on-premises applications. Okay. Now, this is a service which was already available in AWS. On top of this, there is a new feature which has been announced, which is called as Amazon Elastic Disaster Recovery, which now supports in AWS failback. So what do we mean by in AWS failback is that we are now going to add the existing support for non-disruptive recovery drills and on-premises failback included in the original release. So these are anyway available. So what this feature now do is it provides you a simplified and expedited experience to fail back your EC2 instances to the original region. So both failover and failback are now can be very conveniently done using this service. So just a little bit glimpse into fail back and failover. So what really happens is failover means, so for example failover means, let's say you are running your application on your on premises and there is a glitch or the network glitch or some issues happens on your on premises, and as part of it failover is triggered. With this failover will now switch your traffic to the disaster recovery systems that you have created probably on AWS using this service. This feature was already available. Now, automatic fail over means, automatic fail back means that in case the original application is up and running on your on premises environment, you also want an automated fail back to your original system instead of this DR system. So this is also now possible using this disaster recovery failback feature, which was not earlier available. It was manual earlier, which is now has been enabled. So now this is automated pretty much for you. So this is a new feature that we are talking about. Moving on, in terms of AWS backup, now there are many new features which are available. So first is, earlier AWS backup was primarily being used for your EBS volumes, right? People were using it to back up their EBS volumes and snapshots, so that in case if anything goes wrong, they would be able to recover their volumes and data from the uh, volumes and the snapshot which has been created. Now AWS backup is also available for Amazon S3, which is primarily available in US West region. Then it's available for VMware workloads. Protect and restore your cloud formation stack. So let's say you have certain cloud formation stacks and you want to do a backup of all these stacks that you have created. So in the event of any failure, your stacks would still be available for you to trigger them. Then same, it is now also available, which is generally available for your Amazon Redshift as well. And another interesting feature about delegation of organization wide backup administration. So what does this mean is, earlier backup administration was available, but it was at organization level. It is, so earlier when the AWS backup feature was available for organization level, it was only possible to do the administration of your organization wide backup policies. They could be only done from your pair account or from your master account, right? So every account or the member account in your organization had to connect with your master account in order to do the administration of the backup policies. Now what has happened is, with the delegation of organization wide backup administration, the member accounts, you can delegate the backup administration to a member account as well. So for, let's say, you can create a specific AWS account which is only responsible for the administration of your backup policies. So it's not only the role which has to be assigned only at the pair account level or the master account level. The member accounts, one of the member accounts could be delegated as one of the backup administrator, and this account now would be able to do the administration, creating your backup policies and all. So it makes your life easy that not everything has to be done and maintained at your pair account level only. Now, another feature which has been launched in DevOps is the Amazon CloudWatch Internet Monitor. So, what does it mean? Is it provides visibility into your internet issues. So, by the name that it refers that it's an internet monitor, it is a new capability of Amazon CloudWatch that now gives you visibility into how your internet issues might impact the performance and availability of your application. So, let's say if there are issues which are coming from the internet and maybe not directly happening within your AWS environment, your Amazon CloudWatch Internet Monitor would be now able to give you those performance metrics as well. right? So it uses a connectivity data that we usually capture from our global networking footprint to calculate a baseline of performance and availability for internet traffic. So this is the same kind of data that we use at AWS also to monitor our own internet traffic. So with internet monitor, now you can gain much more awareness of the problems which are arising mainly from the internet experience at your users end. So this could be created across various geographies and locations as well. It basically uses AWS Global Accelerator as a service in order to collect all these metrics. The next feature that we have is Amazon S3 multi-region access points failover control. So what do we mean by that is the, you can create now a global access point for your multiple S3 buckets which are sitting across multiple regions. So now what will happen is you will create a multi-region access point that will automatically route all your traffic to the closest buckets. So what is happening here? I'll tell you that let's say you created a global access point, multi-region global access point for your S3 buckets. And if one of the buckets is not reachable, or if the one of the buckets has an issue and it is not available for your customers, then automatically this point would be responsible for rerouting your traffic to another S3 bucket which is available in your another region or probably the same region, right? So it helps you in firstly within minutes you can test the availability and it is highly available. So in terms of business continuity, this will really help you in controlling that whenever one of the buckets is not available, how it can fail over to another bucket in the time of contingency. So this is how this multi region access point are going to help you specifically when you have a use case where you have applications which are global applications and which requires to be available across multiple region, and at the same time multiple applications needs to connect with your S3 buckets. So this global endpoint would actually help you in routing your traffic to the nearest bucket in order to reduce the delay of accessing the data. At the same time it is also giving you a failover so that in case one bucket is not available, it will automatically drive all your traffic to another bucket in another region so that your API calls or your applications does not fail. So very good feature which has been launched and a must try. Another feature that has been launched is the Amazon Route 53 ARC zonal shift, right? This is a new capability which has been built into your ELBs. So it allows you to shift your traffic from a particular AZ which might be experiencing higher latency. So example AZ3 in the image that you can see here. So this is one of the AZs where we are facing experiencing some kind of latency. So now when we are facing a latency in one of the AZs, you can move the traffic to a healthy AZ into another ELB nodes. So right, it is a recovery oriented strategy is what I would say. What do you mean by recovery oriented strategy is it allows you to recover your application quickly before investigating the root cause of the increased latency. Now usually what happens, so for example if you are running an ELB, right? And your customer says that they are facing a lot of latencies and they are receiving like a lot of 503 or 400 errors, and you're not able to understand why this latency is coming. Is the latency coming from your firewall? Is the latency coming because your internal application, which is attached to the ELBs in the backend, is not responding back within time? Is it a database issue that your database is experiencing latency because of which you are seeing the latency at ELB level? So there's a lot of investigation that you usually do in order to identify what is the root cause here, right? Now, before even trying to understand what is the root cause and fixing it, which takes a lot of time, and meanwhile your customers will be still facing that latency issues and many connections might be getting dropped. This particular feature is going to help you because you are doing a complete zonal shift from one AZ to the other AZ which is healthy and not having any latency so far. So that what will happen is if there is an issue with the ELB, okay, or if there is an issue with the AZ or some networking level, shifting to another AZ will solve your problem temporarily while you can still monitor, while you can still understand and do the troubleshooting of why the latencies was coming earlier. So very good feature, specifically in terms of recovery oriented. Like if you are facing something in your production environment, right in time, what is the best thing that you can do in order to uh, you know switch it to another AZ to save the time, and meanwhile you can still do your investigation. So let's talk about compute now.
Mahima, just a minute. So before we proceed further, there is a question from Aman on
Hmm.
blue-green deployment, that can
Okay.
we make use of this blue-green deployment with our existing RDS instances as well?
Yes, you can do that. So this feature is not available only for, is available for existing RDSs also, not only for the new ones.
Great.
So there are steps. So all these features that we are talking about, if you go to internet, we have very detailed blogs for each of these features which has been launched, with some kind of demos as well. And I would also suggest that for each of these features that I am talking about right now, we have YouTube videos of the reinvent. So please go through those reinvent videos. They're very nice videos because these videos have been recorded by the actual product teams who have created or launched these features, and they have given a detailed and they have given a beautiful description, their theory around it, why it was created, what is the purpose of creating this feature, and what are the various use cases, and how this is going to help you solve some of your problems with the hands-on activity. So they are actually going to show you how to actually configure this particular feature as well. So do watch these videos if you want more detailed version of how this particular feature works and how you can enable this in your current environment.
Great. Thanks, Mahima.
Sure. So all right, so we are now going to move on to compute. Okay, so compute again is one of the bases of AWS, right? Everything in AWS that you see actually works behind on a compute instance only. So there's a new AWS Nitro V5 which has been launched, which is now generally available. So Nitro are the instances which are, Nitro instances have been created, and AWS have been working with Nitro instances for over a decade now, right? But this is at reInvent this year. We have launched another Nitro version 5 instances. These are custom built silicon instances by Annapurna Labs in collaboration with AWS. Now, this Nitro version 5 instances that you are seeing, it is going to provide you 2x time the transistors. That means 2 computational power and 50% more speeds, right? So what is going to happen is they are giving you much more higher performance with a 30% reduced latency and 40% higher performance per watt, which means reduced overall power. So it's 60% higher packer per second. So that is all I can say. So if you want more details around it, that what is the cost in various regions, please visit our Amazon documentation, and you can see in all the regions where it is available, that what is the cost of it, and what are the different types of Nitro V5 instances currently available in the market for you. So next generation Nitro V5, as I already told you, it gives 2x transistors, 50% faster DRM speed, more PCLE bandwidth, 60% higher PPS, 30% lower latency, with 40% better performance per watt. So Nitro is the reason that AWS got started building some custom chips. So before Nitro, AWS was not building any custom chips. It is a one of the Nitros was the first pioneers, due to which AWS started into the building of the custom chips, and it remains as one of the most important reasons why EC2 provides differentiated performance and security today. So every new instance introduced since 2014 has actually built on Nitro systems. So Nitro systems basically helps us in better securing our EC2 instances, improving our network storage performance, and allows all our server resources to be devoted to customer workloads. Okay. So Nitro is not a new story, as I would say. We have been working with Nitro for almost a decade. So this is what we are happy to announce, that this is a new version of the Nitro chip which is now available in the market. The Nitro chip continues the tradition of delivering significantly higher performance instances and chips for you. That means A new version is available which is going to give you a lot better performance, lower latency, and better transistors. So do try these out. Moving on to another favorite of mine, which is new Graviton 3E instances, right? So it gives you 200 Gbps networking bandwidth, up to 50% better packet processing power, and 2x PPS of vCPUs. So let's discuss about some use cases where you actually go for Graviton instances, right? So all of you know that we launched Graviton instances some time back. I don't remember the year exactly when these Graviton instances were launched, but Graviton instances gives are the newer generation instances, which basically gives you higher performance at a lower cost. So being a TAM, I usually come across many such scenarios where customer asks me that we want to reduce the cost of our EC2 instances, and our EC2 instances are very costly right now. And sometimes when we are doing the analysis of why the cost of their EC2 instances is higher, we usually come across when we do the right sizing of their EC2 instances, we usually come across use cases where they say that we are running this particular instance, which is a higher type of EC2 instance. So let's say they might be running a 4x large instance or 10x large instances, and the CPU utilization of these instances would be usually very very low. But why they are running these instances which are still running 10% below CPU utilization is they need probably the higher throughput, or they need a higher memory, right? In order to have a higher memory or higher compute optimized instances, they are going for instance sizes which are high, whereas they are getting a lower CPU utilization. So in such scenarios, you can think about moving your workload to Graviton based instances. So first thing is, you don't need a higher instance type just because you need higher performance. Even with a lower instance type, you would be able to receive a good performance. At the same time, you will be doing a lot of cost saving as well, because firstly you're going to shift back to a lower instance type, and at the same time you're also saving a lot of cost, because even if you suppose you are using a 4x large M5 instance and you go with M6 4x large instance, still there will be a discount percentage in terms of the cost of both the instances. So all the new generation instances always give you a better percentage discount in terms of cost as compared to your old generation instances or your preceding generation instances. So my recommendation is, if you are running on the preceding generation or current generation instances, do plan to go for Graviton instances or AMD based instances, because it will give you higher performance, it will give you a better result in terms of running your application, and at the same time a lower cost. So it's a win-win situation both for you. So new generation three instances. So we have HPC workloads like those found in weather forecasting, life sciences, and industry engineering are not usual workloads, and many of them do a lot more floating point and vector maths than normal applications. So these instance types like C7G and instances are available in preview. These instances actually are built on Graviton 3E platform, with a variant of Graviton 3 that is specifically optimized to do more of the floating point and Victor math kind of computational power that you need. So again, something not my forte, that what are these Victor maths and what are these kind of workloads. So not having too much understanding about what these workloads are, but specifically for the workloads which needs a lot of computational power, a lot of maths is involved, and a lot of complexity is involved, that is where these instances are best fitted and it would be helpful. At the same time, these Graviton 3 based instances are going to give you a 35% higher performance, okay, with a computational benchmark 12% better on Grow Max and all. So there are a lot of features which are available if you have that kind of workload, and you are waiting for that kind of instance to be available. This is something that is going to come soon. So please keep a tap of it and do read more about it if you are running this kind of workload in your environments. So very very compute intensive workloads could be used. Another type of instances that we have is HPC ID instances. These are optimized for high performance computing workloads. Third generation Intel Xenon scalable processors, and it is now available in US region, so US East Ohio region, and US West AWS government cloud region also. So these are the two regions where this is available. All right. So another one is Amazon EC2 INF2. Okay. These are highest inference performance at the lowest cost in Amazon EC2. So these are second generation AWS infernal accelerators. They provide you 3x times higher computational performance, right? And they give you 10x time lower latencies. These are specifically optimized for complex models such as large language models and vision transformers. So again, if you have a very high a kind of data which, or a workload which requires lot of infernal performance, kind of traffic, and that kind of workload is what you are running, then this is one of the ones which is currently available in preview. So in preview means this is currently available in trial and not generally available across all the regions, so you can test it out if this is the kind of workload that you are running. I'm going to just skip these ones which are very specific. So let us come to M6I in, M6IND, R6. Again, these are general purpose and memory optimized instances. These are specifically not for any particular workload that we use, but these are the workloads which are available for general purpose memory optimized kind of instances. So very useful if you are looking for higher performance, again lower latency and lower costs. So if you're looking for cost optimization, at the same time you're looking for higher performance of your workloads, and these are the kind of new generation workloads which are now available in the market. Please do try it out. So you can see these are this gives you approximately 200 Gbps of network bandwidth, up to 80 Gbps of EBS bandwidth, and up to 128 vCPUs and 512 GB of memory. So, newer generation instances, you can see the capabilities and the power of each of these, plus the use cases as well. So when you go to our site, under the documentation for each of these instance types, you would also be able to see that what is the kind of use case that they are referring to, and where these are more appropriate, in which kind of workloads you can use a particular instance type. Another kind of AMI which is now available is EC2 Microsoft Office. Okay, so earlier what happened is, if you had to create or install Microsoft Office tools on your AWS Microsoft based instances, you would have to manually install them, right? You would have to download a software version of your Microsoft Office and then install it on your own. Now, in order to ease that, all the load of manually doing all these activities, we have created a new AMI which is called as Amazon EC2 Microsoft Office AMI. So this is fully compliant AMI which is provided with of professional plus 2021 version. Plus at the same time, Amazon EC2 licenses include Windows Server instances per CPU. So you have to actually subscribe to this Amazon Microsoft Office licenses on a monthly or daily basis for per user, right? So this is how the subscription model is. If you're really interested in, again, go back and read about it more in our documentations. This is another interesting feature, which is AWS Compute Optimizer external matrix support. So a little understanding about what is AWS Compute Optimizer as a tool and how this can be used, and what is this new feature about. So one of the cost optimization tools that we have, which is a free tool absolutely available in AWS, is AWS Compute Optimizer. To enable this, you don't need to pay any pricing. You only pay the price if you are, enabling detailed monitoring of your EC2 instances. That is where you might have to pay a little cost. Now, coming back, what is the use of this AWS Compute Optimizer is, this is basically a tool which monitors all the metrics of your various EC2 instances, mainly for your compute or Lambda, and it identifies what, from the CloudWatch matrix, it collects that what is the current CPU utilization, what is the current memory utilization, right? How are your storages over provision, under provision? So in this way, what really happens is, using the various metrics that it is collecting from CloudWatch, it basically gives you a dashboard which gives you an analysis of how many EC2 instances that you are running, and out of those EC2 instances, which are the instances which are under provisioned or over provisioned, and what is the next EC2 instance type that you can switch to in order to save cost. Okay, so this is the whole purpose of compute optimizer. It continuously monitors all your compute instances, and it gives you a recommendation that in order to make them right sized, what is the next size that you should shift them to or move them to, so that you can save the cost and increase your performance as well. Earlier, uh, compute optimizer was by default only monitoring the matrix of from CloudWatch, right? There was no other way to monitor any other custom matrix. Now, with the use of this additional support for external matrix system, what will happen is, you can connect AWS Compute Optimizer. So let's say if you are using Dynatrace, or if you're using New Relics, or any other monitoring centralized monitoring system where you are storing custom matrix of your applications, you can connect your AWS Compute Optimizer to that, right? If you enable Compute Optimizer for your third party matrix support, then it would be able to collect the matrix from your third party system also, and at the same time it would be able to give you recommendations for optimization based on these matrix, custom matrix as well, which was not earlier possible. So very very good feature, and this is a brilliant tool. If you are very if you are not able to continuously keep track of your EC2 instances, and you struggle with saving the cost across your EC2 instances, and how to you don't know what is the next size you should move to in order to save cost, so this tool will give you all those recommendations, and at the same time dashboard of how you are currently performing. So very good tool, please try it out. This is another one, which is AWS Nitro Enclaves EKS and K8 support, that is Kubernetes support. So Nitro Enclaves can now be controlled from Amazon EKS and Kubernetes pods as well, right? Previously, you had to write your own code, but now you can deploy very easily, manage the Kubernetes pod within the Nitro Enclaves very easily using this inbuilt Kubernetes device in plug, which is now available. So earlier, this was a manual task. You would have to explicitly write some code in order to enable Nitro Enclaves. Now this is generally available for you, so go ahead and try it out. um, AWS EC2 torn write prevention. So torn write prevention is again a feature that makes writes to storage transactional and prevents the creation of halfway states, guaranteeing integrity for writes up to 16 KIB. So if suppose you are running databases such as MySQL or MariaDB, you can now disable double writes. So up to 30% process improvement is what you can achieve just with the use of EC2 torn write preventions. Now it is available for instance storages for 14 instances and EPS for Nitro based instances. Now it is also available, RDS is available in the form of optimized write. So again a feature which is going to make rights to storage transactions and prevention the creation of halfway states. So what does this really mean is, most of the time we have seen when we have applications which are transactional in nature, like your banking applications or your FSI applications, right, where you are saving all the transactions and you are writing all the transactional data to your RDS instances or to your databases. In that way you will face certain scenarios where there are transactions which are halfway written, or some transaction fails, right? And in a way what is happening is the same transaction is getting rewrite and written over multiple times, or you have writing the same transaction at multiple locations. So with this feature you can disable the double write, so in that way you will save a lot of cost and your performance will improve by approximately 30%. So very good feature if you are having a lot of issues with duplicate transactions or storage of duplicate transactions. So this feature will really help you in that scenario. Let's talk about storage now. Any questions that you see, Dipali, in the chat box, or we can go ahead and start with the storage now?
You can carry on, Maima. As of now, there are no new questions. But yes,
Sure.
reminder to everyone, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat box.
Guys, I hope all these are helpful, and I know we are not covering too much detail on every slide, and the reason is these are so much to digest in for you in a one single session. Although there are multiple different sessions already available on internet, so if you want to use any of the features that we are talking about, we already have these videos which will give you a lot more details about it. So please go through them. Now, another very excellent feature which has been launched with Amazon EFS updates. Okay, so giving you a history. So let's say, for example, I was working with a e-commerce application for one of my customers, and for this customer we saw that they were using EFS for storing all their product data and all their order details. So let's say if a customer purchases something, they will place an order, and an order file would be created, an order product images would be there, the product details would be there. So all of these different files were actually stored in their EFS service. Now EFS being a service, it does not give you too much of it is meant for applications which has the files which are higher of storage size, right? So that if the storage of size of your files is higher, it is easier to search them, it is easier to perform any operations on top of your file systems. Now, in this particular scenario, which I'm talking about for an e-commerce customer, the files that they were storing were very small. They were approximately KB kind of files that they were storing. Now, due to which what was happening is uh, uh, the data was somewhere across 16 to 20 TB. So the data was very huge because they had a data of approximately 5 years, and at the same time they had millions and billions of files which were approximately of the size in KBs. That is where the actual problem started happening, and the EFS file system became very slow. So even for a small search, let's say they are doing creating a new folder, or they are creating a new file, or even if they are retrieving an old file or an order, it was taking long. The delay of retrieving a file or search or creation was very long. When we started seeing these latencies, we identified that this was happening because uh, you know uh, we were not able to create a throughput based environment for EFS, and because of the small size of files, we were unable to use EFS as a system for that. Now, because we were not able to add throughput as one of the matrix while creating your EFS system, so we had to at that time, in order to resolve the issue of EFS, we created multiple EFS services, and we on the year on year basis, we put the files segregated the files on the year on a year basis, and put those files in different EFS systems in order to resolve the performance issue, and this issue was resolved. But now, for such scenarios where the number of files are very small, and you need, or your workload needs an environment where you want uh, throughput to be higher, and you can define what kind of throughput you need for your applications, then this is a kind of feature that you can go with. So new throughput model, it is ideal for spiky or unpredictable workloads where the performance requirements are non-predictable, difficult or forecast, and the size files are very small. You need a very high throughput. So EFS automatically delivers a throughput performance needed while paying only for the amount of data written or read. So you can share the files that doesn't need provisioning or capacity requirements. So this new lifestyle now supports one day lifecycle management policies also. It allows you to automatically move files that hasn't been accessed in one day to the AMS EFS infrequently accessed storage class also. So lot of performance improvement, and at the same time lot of cost saving that you will achieve. So up to 60% of lower read operation latencies when working with frequently accessed data and metadata. It also writes up to 40% lower latency. So like the issue that I was describing, now with this new update that has happened with EFS, files up to 64 KB or smaller and metadata can also be written very fast and search very fast across your EFS environment. So a lot of new features have been launched across EFS. Do try it out.
So, Mahima, question from Tanmay here, that
Mhm.
isn't Elasticsearch or RDS is better in this use case?
Okay, see, RDS is a database kind of an environment, right? You cannot use RDS for file systems. EFS is basically created for the sole purpose where you have various files or file systems created. It will be not efficient to store your files in your RDS and then retrieving a copy of your entire file from RDS, right? So for that purpose, you actually need a kind of an environment which is file system based rather than storage based. So database is not going to solve the problem of file storage, right? You need a specific database which is only specialized for saving the files, and that is where EFS is one of the managed services which is being offered by AWS for file storage system. So this specific use case that I was talking about is only for file system storage and not for data storage. So database is storing your data, right? Not exactly storing a location of the file or uploading a file and downloading a file. So database would not be able to solve that problem for you. That is where EFS comes into the picture.
Right. Thanks, Tanma, I hope it clarifies.
Sure. Another feature that has been launched is Amazon EBS IO2 SRD support in 2023. So, what do we mean by SRD is scalable, reliable datagram, right? So, it's a AWS network protocol, network transfer protocol. So, instead of preserving packet order, SRD sends a packets over as many network paths as was possible while avoiding overloaded paths. So, what does it mean? That you get lower, more consistent latencies and higher throughputs. So in 2023, a new feature has been launched, EBS IO2 on SRD. That means now EBS IO2 based volumes will have scalable, reliable datagram in place, right? So all new EBS IO2 volumes will be now running on SRD, which will give you write latency up to 90% lower write latency, and at the same time 4x percent higher throughput. So very good feature if you are planning to launch workloads which needs higher latencies, lower latencies, and at the same time very high throughput. So it will be inherently available for all your IO2 instances going forward. So you don't explicitly have to apply it. Amazon FSX for Open ZFS updates. So this is a new again FSX. I like we talked about EFS, right? FSX is basically again a file system, but it is more suitable for Windows based workloads. So if you are running Windows based workloads and your operating systems are Windows, then FSX is the right choice for storing your file system based databases. So it's a new generation file system for with Amazon FSX for OpenZFS now. So it is also available for OpenZFX. So this provides you with a fully managed, cost-effective, file sharing storage by the popular OpenZFS file system. So it now is FSX was earlier not available for OpenZFS, but now it is now also available for OpenZFS. So it includes up to 2.5 TB of high-speed storage that automatically caches your most recent access data, making that data accessible to over a million of IOPS and with latencies of few hundred microseconds. So it's very good. It doubles the maximum throughputs and IOPS performance for you. So up to 10 Gbps of throughput and 350 thousand IOPS for both reads and writes for your persistent SSD storage. This is what it is going to provide you now. So again, a very good feature if you are already using FSX. All right, I'll probably skip this part. Amazon RDS optimized reads and writes, right? So now what is happening is with this new feature, you can achieve faster query processing by placing temporary tables generated by MSQL on your NVM based SSD block storages that is physically connected to your host servers. So queries that uses, for example, temporary tables or such as those involving sorts of hash aggregations or your high load joins or your common table expressions. So all these kind of workloads are better can be better optimized using this new feature which has been launched. It will give you faster 50% faster performance with your optimize reads, right? So these are the kind of databases which are supporting it now, which is R5D, M5D, R6GD, and M6GD. These are the databases which are currently being supported in terms of read. In terms of write, we have DB R5B and DB R6I, and the latest versions of MySQL 8.0 is currently supporting it. Um, okay, Amazon Kinesis Firehose Open Search integration. So again, Kinesis Firehose is now available for Open Search serverless feature. So you can use this particular service if you're using streaming, and this is a new feature which has been launched. Document DB Elastic Cluster, right? This is again a new feature which has been launched. So it flexibly scales to store petabytes of data and handle multiple, millions of read write requests per second. So just a glimpse into what is Document DB. So Document DB is basically a managed database which is available in AWS, which is a compatibility for, or a kind of a version of what you see in open source called as MongoDB based databases, right? So MongoDB or DocumentDB are the kind of databases which are DocumentDB databases. What do we mean by DocumentDB databases is the ideal use cases where you use DocumentDB is in scenarios where your database is completely unstructured in nature. What do we mean by unstructured is you have created your application, you have created 10 tables, and all these tables you don't know what kind of data will be stored. You probably have just created two columns for each of your tables, right? And later on, during the discovery phase, while you are still evolving your application or writing down your application, you may come up with more and more data, and you might add more and more columns to your data, right? So what is happening is you are not sure that how your database is going to grow, what kind of data structure you would be using, or in a kind of scenarios where you are actually going to have unstructured database like your analytics data, right? You don't know how structured it is going to be. So it is unpredictable in nature, or you have JSON based databases or files which you need to store in the database. So for these all scenarios, DocumentDB is the best suitable database for your workloads. So DocumentDB is a database which has been available now with AWS, and it's a fully managed database. So you don't need to create any instances, or scaling operations are required. It usually supports replication across uh, you know uh, 3 AZs, or 6 locations across 3 AZs for higher availability. So now this is available for your Elastic clusters also. So to run all your JSON based workloads at scale. So very good database. It's one of the fastest growing services within AWS, and most of our customers who are actually creating microservices or containerized workloads, the size of the MongoDB databases plus the uptime for the database is very very low, because it is very very light in nature, and that's the reason it is more suitable for lighter workloads which require very less amount of data, or the database sizes has to be very very small and minimal. In those scenarios, DocumentDB is most approachable. So do try this out database if you are not already using it.
Mahima, there
um,
is a question on screen. Sorry to interrupt. Are the
sure.
RDS optimized read write valid for Aurora RDS as well?
um, okay, this slide, right? No, it
Yeah.
is currently available only for MySQL versions, but I will just check whether RDS MySQL Aurora is available or not. So I'm not sure, not too much into databases, but I can check and get back to you on this. So what we can do is we can reply you back on this.
All right. Sure, Mahima. So, Sumit, you will hear back from us. Please carry on, Mahima.
Okay. AWS Data Exchange for Lake Formation and S3. So this is again a new feature that AWS Data Exchange subscribers can now have direct access to data providers S3 buckets or lake formation catalogs. So users no longer have to create S3 buckets or other storage locations to copy update data in order to reduce the sizes. So what does this really mean is you have been using data lake formations, right? Lake formations are nothing but area where you collect all your unstructured analytics based databases. Now usually all the customers before this feature was launched was they would usually create an S3 buckets, and these S3 buckets was actually being used as a centralized location for storing and copying all their data. Um, so they had to explicitly create an S3 bucket for that, and this S3 bucket was manually being maintained by the users. Now this all this burden can be removed just with the launch of this feature, that you can use AWS Data Exchange subscribers. So users now will have a direct access to the data provider's S3 bucket. You no longer need to create replicas or multiple copies of your S3 buckets for different applications. You don't need a separate bucket only for read. You don't need a separate bucket in order to create or update the data. So very good feature again available if you are using data analytics services and lake formation. So here I finished my session, but I'm open to question and answers. And if you have any further queries, irrespective of what we have covered also, so I'm open to
Okay, so
answer the question. Floor is open. I think we'll wait till the end part of it.
yeah, so please share your questions and like now it's time for a quiz. So those who have not registered on confab.com, please register yourself on quiz.confab.com and let me start the quiz. I'm just waiting for a few seconds and then I'll get started. Okay, so I'm starting this first quiz of the day. So in this quiz, we have just 5 questions and you will get 20 seconds to answer every question. I hope all of you are ready. Let me know if you have any questions before I start the quiz. Okay, since I don't see any questions, so let's get started. So you can lower the cost of your HPC workloads while taking advantage of the elasticity and scalability of AWS using what kind of instances? I think like people are struggling to join. It's giving me that impression. Okay, can you please like write down in the comment exactly what challenge you are facing before I proceed on to the next question? No point in playing quiz if I can't see the participants on the leaderboard. Okay, in case, let me park this quiz for some time in that case because I don't see participants have joined. And let us progress with the remaining section. It is showing question is already in progress. Okay, let me just check. Yeah, here I can see just one question. So first question is in progress. So I can see just three participants. So let me hold for some time and then we will resume on this quiz. So I would like all of you to join this quiz up first so we can actually play this quiz efficiently. So in interest of time, I'm starting with the like other services and features and then we will resume on this quiz. But yes, meanwhile, please join onto this quiz hub so we don't waste any further time on this. Give me a moment. Let me just start the screen share again. Feels like my screen is frozen. Okay, so Mahima has covered a lot of services which belong to DevOps, compute, storage category. Now I'm trying to cover other services which were announced during reInvent. So these belongs to like multiple categories, but I'm not going category wise, and I have picked the services which I felt that these makes more sense for us as developers and for our customers, because I personally like the way AWS is driving innovations, but like I like the services or updates more which really helping optimize the cost for making these applications more secure, because these two are actually the critical aspect for any customer's portfolio. So I'll start with the security enhancement. As all of us have witnessed like log4j incident last year, which has impacted multiple customers, which also made us realize that we should have some vulnerability management system in place. And we already know that AWS is having AWS Inspector, which was helping us to do vulnerability scan for EC2 instance it. And now, as we see, the like serverless applications are getting more popular. So this scanning is now made available for our Lambda functions also. So with the growing trend of serverless and this extension of inspector to Lambda will definitely help us like towards proactive scanning of serverless applications. Next service in this category is Security Lake. As Dr. Vernal Vogel said, that dance like no one is watching, but encrypt like everyone is. So now you can create Security Lake with native AWS services and push all the security data into this security data lake and perform analytics on this data. So it help you reduce operational complexity to collect security logs and events, and it also reduce security solutions ingestion cost and enable direct access to all your data. It automate data lifecycle management for compliance and cost optimizations. As you can see this tag here that currently it is in preview, but it will be made generally available in few months time. Next service I want to cover is Macy. As it is a service which keeps our S3 compliant, you can choose Macy to check the data in S3 if that is compliant or not. For example, if it has any PII, that is personal identification data, like credit card number or account number, etc. And as these are the sensitive information. So far we used to create Amazon Macy job to do this, but now we have automated data discovery feature for Macy, where it performs all the checks and gives the report. Now let's talk about one of the most favorite service, which is Lambda. So Lambda is the backbone of serverless development. Since 2014, AWS has launched over 100 new features in Lambda. And Lambda has over 1 million active customers and it processes over 10 trillion requests per month. In many cases, the execution of Lambda function takes milliseconds to begin, which we known as the cold start of Lambda. So what it means is that initializing phase of your Lambda takes some time due to for various reasons. For example, and it is like mainly seen in case of Java application when you are using Java runtimes. So your init phase takes some time, and this particular event is known as cold start. So this Lambda snapshot feature, it will eliminate this init phase problem and will keep your Lambda warm to process your request. So as of now, this cold start is somewhere around 5 seconds, and with the snap start, it is reducing it by somewhere 90%, and it is reducing it to less than 1 millisecond. Another, so this is the life cycle. This is how you can see. This is the current way that this is the cold start time, which takes several seconds. And now with this snap start feature, it is reducing it actually. So your Lambda is all time available to process your request. There will be no waiting time for this. All right, so let's move on to event bridge pipes. So event bridge pipe is a service with which we can pass on the events from one application to another application. So prior to this, there was no point to point connectivity between the services. For example, if I need to pass the events from, let's say, Kinesis to step functions, so I had to write some logic to do this, maybe a Lambda function or something. But now what I can simply do that I can simply configure a source and destination in the event pipe. And on top of it, I can also apply filtering and enrichment on my source data while I'm transmitting it to the destination. So this is a very good service, those who are using EventBridge. Now, if I talk about Application Composer, it is another interesting service which AWS has launched recently. So especially it is very useful if you want to start on serverless journey. So far, we used to write SAM, that is serverless application model. But now, what you can do that you can visually compose your application. So we get a dashboard where we can compose and configure AWS service for our application just by dragging and dropping, and it will behind the scene it will create a SAM for you. So here is the list of services. We can simply drag and drop the way we need to use services, and behind the scenes it will create the SAM for us. So it is very easy to start on the serverless part. Another interesting service for developers is Code Whisperer. It got a lot of traction in reInvent. It is ML based plugin for IDE which will give you auto suggestions on your code based on comments. For example, you can simply write that upload file to S3. So it will generate a code block for you. So this is how it is a very handy service which helps in the effective development of the applications, and it's very useful service for the developers. Another interesting feature I would like to discuss around step functions, as these are the key elements to create any workflow in AWS. So far, we had a limit to run maximum 40 parallel execution of step functions. And this limit of 40 executions is now increased to 10,000. So if you have like huge workload and you need to run a lot of parallel streams, lot of parallel workflows, so now this limit will not come into the picture because it has been extended to 10,000. So this new distributed map feature, it will help you to manage your distributed parallel and interactive workloads. So it is very useful when you are working with like enterprise level applications. Now let's talk about VPC lattice. It actually simplifies the VPC to VPC or service to service connectivity. So now you don't really need to have networking knowledge to set this up. Because earlier, if you need to set up connectivity between two services or between two application in your VPC, you need to configure route tables, you need to configure subnet settings, and maybe a few more things like internet gateway, etc. But with VPC lattice, what we can do, we simply get a dashboard where we can simply select the services and it will do all the underlying configuration by itself. So this is very useful service. Those who belong to like analysis or like development background and don't have a strong networking understanding. Now let's talk about Amazon verified permissions. It is a very useful service for any application because when we develop any application, we create a separate module to manage authorization and authentication. And every time we need to redeploy this module to accommodate any changes, right? So now we can simply configure all the permissions via this verified permissions access module, access service. It is a like fully managed service, so we don't really need to worry about scalability and all. So it saves a lot of time and resources with centralized permissions management and policy lifecycle management. On the similar lines, AWS verified access is another interesting service in networking space. So today, if you want your corporate application to be accessible by your employees, you need to definitely set up a VPN. But with the help of verified access, we can get rid of VPN. We can like completely remove this VPN part and simply use this service to let you govern the policies like which application can be accessed via what set of employees. So that is something can be very simply configured via verified access. So yeah, these are the some key services which we thought will be very useful for this developer community. Uh, so I hope you find these useful and will try to explore further on this to use in your use cases. Now let me go back to quiz part. Before that, let me quickly check if we got any questions. Do we have PDF of this demo? I'm sorry, we didn't play any demo, honestly. So we are just talking about the new features and services. But yes, if you want to explore more on any specific service, please do check out the Amazon documentation as Mahima mentioned. And if you are like not clear, struggling to use that services, please let us know. We will arrange a specific session for that specific service. I hope that helps. Now, still, I can't see like more participants to this leaderboard, to this participant list. Sorry. So I'm just waiting for 1 more minute. If I can see more participants, great. Otherwise, I will assume that you are not interested to not interested to play a quiz, and you don't want AWS credits. So in that case, we will wind up the session right here. So it's 11:25 as of now. Let me just wait for 1 more minute to see if I can see more participants in here. Meanwhile, Mahima, do you want to add anything? If any other key service which you think we should be sharing with the audience? Okay, I can see one more participant here, Navneet. Thanks for joining. I'm looking to at least few more participants in here so we can have a real flavor of like gaming. Last 10 seconds, guys. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead with the four participants on the screen. I'm just displaying the next question in this quiz. So, where is the latest local zone launched in India? Was it in Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, or Chennai? Last few seconds. Okay, so I can see Mukesh has answered it correctly. So, if I show the stats here, like Kolkata is the right answer here. And as I think I covered in the beginning, AWS has launched a local zone in Calcutta to help builders building their applications with low latency. Let's move on to the next question. Which is the latest region launched by AWS? Is it Hyderabad, Melbourne, Thailand, or New Zealand? Last 6 seconds to go. Hurry up, guys. Like I can see it's only Mukesh who is answering all the questions quickly and correctly. Let's look at the right answer here. So, the correct answer for this is Melbourne. And it was launched in 2023 itself in January. And Hyderabad was launched in 2022. So, overall, we have 31 regions as of now. And New Zealand and Thailand, these are the upcoming regions. With that, let's move on to the next question. Which one of the following provides an easy network setup and seamless service communication deployed across multiple ECS clusters and VPC? Is it ECS cluster VPC SC, ECS service deploy, ECS service connect, or ECS distributed pipes? Okay, seems no one answered it correctly. Let's look at the correct answer here. So it is ECS Service Connect. And I think it is one of the initial services which Mahima covered today. So this provides easy network setup and seamless service communication deployed across multiple ECS clusters and VPCs. Let's look at the next question. And this is the last question, by the way, in this quiz one. Which one of the following enables you to make database updates safer, simpler, and faster? For example, create a separate, synchronized, fully managed staging environment that mirrors the production environment. Code Catalyst, Blue Green Deployment, Auto Deployer, or AppFlow. Mukesh has got another point. Well done. So, correct answer here is RDS Blue Green Deployments, because it is a new fully managed feature for Amazon Aurora with MySQL compatibility. RDS for MySQL and MariaDB that enables you to make database updates safer, simpler, and faster. So, with that, I'm ending this quiz. And since I don't see enough participation, I think let us not play the second quiz which we have. But yes, I will request to all of you to actually share your email IDs so we can share the AWS credits to each one of you, so you can explore further these services. And I hope you found this session useful and got some like knowledge which will help you to develop your applications in near future. But yes, if you have like further questions, please feel free to post that in the comment section even after the session, and we will try to answer them. And if you want like any specific demo session on any of the services or features, please let us know. We will arrange the same for you. So yes, if you want to explore further on AWS services and need some credits, please share your email ID with us. And let me share the email ID as well here. So maybe either you can like post that into the comment section here, or you can, okay, let's keep it like one way only. Just post your email ID into the comment section here. So we will collate all the email IDs and share some AWS credits with you. So I think we are done with the things which we wanted to cover today. And since I see like lack of participation, so I think a lot of things are still left to cover with which we wanted to cover with the quizzes. But Mahima, if you want to add anything further, please go ahead. Otherwise, I think we are good to wind up here. Mahima, are you there? Okay.
Hi, Dipali. I'm here. I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. No problem. So, Mahima,
Good session. I think. Am I visible? Am I audible,
you're audible, but
Dipali?
screen looks like frozen. Mahima,
Yeah, I
yes, you are
don't know
audible.
why this is.
I
Okay,
think
I've
that's fine.
stopped my odd video, but I think thank you so much, Dipali, for organizing this event and hosting it. It was a wonderful experience, and thank you all for joining us today. Hope all these sessions that we have provided are helpful, and please do reach out to us. I have posted my LinkedIn handle, and you can reach out to me at any point of time if you have any queries or anything that you want to ask us. So please do feel free to reach out.
Great. Thank you so much, Mahima, for sparing time to share these reinvent recaps with us. And yeah, I hope audience will find it useful. Those who could attend it like online, or maybe those who will really watch this video offline. So I'm sure it will be definitely useful. Thank you so much, Mahima, and we will bug you again to share some further knowledge in AWS space.
Sure. Thank you so much. Happy to connect again. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Great. Bye bye.